Welcome to the Black Stage, presented by 255. 255 is a collaborative of 5 individuals who came together to promote Blackness in all its facets. We are Layla Isaac, Kim Joseph, Rudy Joseph, Sean Robinson, and me, Kamara Watkins. We created this event to showcase Black talent during Black History Month. We purposefully have chosen creatives, entrepreneurs, leaders, and healers so that we can talk about the uniqueness of the Black experience in these different fields, and so that we can look at some of the commonalities that we experience as a Black community. You are going to truly enjoy learning more about each of these individuals, hearing about their talent, being able to see some of their work, and some of the things that they contribute to the world. So we ask you to sit back, relax, enjoy the Black Stage, presented by 255.
New to the Black Stage, this artist blurs the lines between industries. She is a doctor of physical therapy, an entrepreneur, and world-class athlete. Hailing from the Tampa Bay area, here's my sit-down with Dr. Deliah Autry.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. Seems like it's been forever since I've seen you.
I know, since Miami.
Yeah, so that was what, 2019?
Yeah, I was on my second rotation.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, and that's also the same year we met, because it was like the summer we did that
Yes.
trip. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yes, I have things. No,
It
go ahead.
was CSM in Denver.
Ah, that's right. That's right. That's when the last time we actually linked up before the world went to hell.
Yes.
Yeah. So how have things been in that time?
Pretty good. I finished school, supposed to do residency, and then it got canceled.
Yeah.
But I never went back, so that's on me. I started working in sports, and I liked the population, but they overworked me, so I got burnt out. So then I quit and switched over to pediatrics, and that was this past summer.
Okay, so that was recently.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because I do remember you telling me about the sports job, and you were like very excited about it at the time, but it ended up being one of those where you were just being overtaxed situations.
Yeah, it was ran by a chiropractor, and then I was the only physical therapist. I was the first one they've ever hired, and she was also pregnant, so she gave birth right in the off season of the MLB. So then all the MLB players came to our facility, and I was working a lot and not getting compensated for it. So I was salaried, and it didn't matter how many hours I put in. And then they gave me a bonus, but it was not a bonus like I thought it would be, and I was just done. So
Right. No, I'm glad. Well, I'm glad you got out of that situation. You enjoying peds so far?
I am. I do home health, so cancellations, can be high sometimes, but the job being flexible with the hours and all that, it's been really good for me.
Okay, awesome. Now, you also started your own like business too, right? Or you're still in the works with that?
Yes, I'm still in the works with it. In the summer, I had quite a few patients, a lot of like high school, college kids that were off from school or here for the break, blah, blah, blah. And that went really well. And then I started the pediatric job, and I picked up like a once a week PRN in the orthopedic clinic. So I backed off a little bit on my cash patients, but I want to rent out a small space by this summer so that I can start seeing them more. I'm trying to rearrange my schedule now to where I can pick back up on seeing the patients and then slowly wean myself off of home health
Okay.
into my own clinic. Yeah.
All right. It sounds like you have a plan and a roadmap set out.
I do.
Yeah. I know it will work out. And of course, you always have me to reach out to if ever you need anything.
Thank you.
All right. So once again, thank you for agreeing to do this with us, this Black Stage event, which I'm not sure if you're too familiar with from like last year.
Hi.
No, yeah. So it's basically this highlight feature that we wanted to start through our LLC, which is the 255 Group. It's a multimedia company that we started last year. Really spurred by the effects of the pandemic. Myself, Kim, and a few other friends of ours decided to put this group together that would focus on identifying Black talent locally and elsewhere, Black businesses that we can start to refer people out to, just to kind of like grow that network of Black professionals, which we know is pretty scarce, not only in our discipline of like healthcare, but in many other disciplines. And one of the first efforts that we wanted to do was this little showcase. Being in a pandemic, it kind of limited how we put the showcase together. So we're basically doing it via Zoom and the internet last year and continuing that same approach this year. But eventually we'd like to go like in person, to actually have people together where networking and communication would be a lot more easily facilitated. But that's the history of it all. So this year is our second time doing it. And of course, when we're thinking about people to feature, I was like, I know someone who's doing wonderful things, very young in her profession, hands in many other realms as well, which we'll get to later on. And I was like, why not reach out to my good friend, Dr. Deliah Autry.
Thanks, Rudy.
Oh, you squinted. You don't like the doctor before the name?
I'm just shy. I'm a little shy.
Yes. I know. But no, you really are doing a lot of great things out there. Hence why I kind of wanted to give you a platform so other people can kind of see what I see, Kim sees in other people as well. So with that, I have a few questions set out for us to like go through. And I guess the easiest one to start with is, just tell me a little bit about who you are. Tell me about yourself and where you're from.
Okay, my name's Deliah Autry. I was born and raised in Tampa, Florida. Super sporty tomboy as a kid. Always knew I wanted to do something in healthcare since I was little. Was a pediatrician for a long time. Then it was a nurse. And then I got to college and just happened to find out that physical therapy was a thing because my mom has some chronic issues. And I went to a session with her and ended up loving it. So I am now a physical therapist, and I have played sports since I was little, so I've continued to play flag football since 9th grade. It's a high school sport in Florida, and I played in college. So I've been playing for 12 years now. Goodness. Okay. 12 years now, and the sport's growing. So I am now playing at the highest level, and I thank God for the opportunity. I'm a big community person. I feel like I was raised by a village, grew up in like park, Boys and Girls Club. My mom worked there. So I like to give back to my community a lot. I went to an HBCU and it was life-changing. And if I could do it over, I would go there first. And I am Black and white in Spanish. My mom's Black, my dad's white and Spanish. So I feel like I kind of am a melting pot of cultures sometimes. And that's really it.
Well, a great synopsis there. A few points I guess I want to touch on. You talked most briefly about your community focus and engagement. I think that's how you and I first met. Yes. Was on a service trip out of the country, Jamaica specifically, and doing what it is that we both do, that is physical therapy. I was maybe in my fourth year at NSU, working at the time, and you were still a student, like you mentioned. And from there, like we linked up there for about a week. We were providing care services to the wonderful island of Jamaica and the people of that community. And it was to me one of the best experiences of my life. I don't know if you have any thoughts from that time.
I've been trying to go on a medical mission trip since then. I was hoping to do that one every year, actually.
Mhm.
I know COVID has really messed things up, but I absolutely like fell in love with the whole idea of the mission trip, and then it turned out even better than I expected. So I really, really, really want to make it a personal goal to do a medical mission trip at least once a year.
Yeah.
Uh, and I actually ended up reaching out to that person you told me about, and they have a few this year. They have one next, but I can't make it happen. But I think I'm going to go in December.
Oh, nice, nice. I think December one is with Peru.
Yes, because next month is Nicaragua. I can't say it.
No worries. But yeah, so that's awesome. You're gonna love the Peru trip. That was my first time doing like a service trip out of the country with them through Peru, and yeah, it was an amazing time. So I'm glad you were able to like set that up, and I'm actively looking to start that back up as well. The time that you and I went together to Jamaica, that was my second time going. And like you, I had every plan to kind of do it yearly. But then, of course, the next year, the world kind of came to a screeching halt, and we've been kind of waiting ever since.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm actively looking for the next opportunity as well, and it may be through the same group that we're talking about. I will. So thinking back to that time in Jamaica, we know you're an athlete. You're talking about playing football, like since you were young. I think I got a glimpse of your athleticism while we were there. Because in our downtime, we'd like play. Remember, we played soccer one time
Yes.
with some of the local kids, and I was like, "Man, Deliah is an athlete. She looks good out there. She can keep up with those kids."
Yes. I can't sit down. That's my problem. I can't sit down anywhere. I'm like, I want to be up and running and moving around. And I love kids since I was little. Like I have always, I grew up at the Boys and Girls Club, then I worked at the Boys and Girls Club until I had to quit to go to physical therapy school.
Mhm.
And it's just, I don't know, I've always like wanted to be a role model for kids and like interact with them because they're literally the future of
Yeah.
our society and our world. So, why not, put your efforts into making sure that they're on the right path. So I don't know. What were we doing? I think we are waiting for the van to load the supplies or something. And I found a ball. Yeah. I've
Yep.
always been like that since I was little. I am obsessed with being active.
Right. We found the
Or
ball,
free.
and then everything else just happened naturally. We just
Yes.
like people just started showing up. Like some
Yes.
kids who weren't even like part of the event. Eventually, it's like the whole town
Yes.
started to come out. So,
Yes. And they were
uh,
good.
yeah.
Really good. I'm like, I can give you like 2 dribbles, but that's about it. They're bouncing the ball off their feet and knees, not my thing. I can't do it,
Yeah.
but y'all go
Yeah.
ahead and show off.
I still have videos of that time. But so you also brought up your background, which is very unique and similar in essence to me. I myself am multicultural in essence, although my background is they share an island. I'm Haitian and Dominican, right? But you also mentioned that you yourself are Black, white, and Hispanic as well. And one of the key things about our organization, like I was saying, it was highlighting Blackness in our community and all the wonderful things that we do. So I guess the next follow-up question would be when it comes to like a Black person, if I could designate you as that, what has been your experience as a Black person in your industry? Physical therapy, but then also like you touched on the football that you're doing now professionally.
I think if I didn't go to a like historically Black college and program for physical therapy, I think it'd be a lot harder to feel
Mhm.
we deserve to be in this profession. You know that we have, you know that group me we have, the Black Excellence group. I mean, it grew from like 100 people, and we created that one in Denver. It grew from 100 people, and I think it's close to 1,000 now. That like the fact that to this day there's still students that reach out and say they're the only person of color in their class, and how do they deal with microaggressions and all of that. It makes me sad to see. It really does. And I personally didn't experience that in my program, but I mean, I definitely feel it and I see it in our profession. If we can get more programs to accept persons of color, I mean, Black people, and even more HBCU programs that have more funding, that can get more students, then it would really like help narrow down that issue we have between not having enough of us. I definitely have only been I've been the only Black person in both of my jobs now, 3 of my jobs actually, because yeah, my first job I was the only one, my pediatric job I'm the only one, and my PRN job I'm the only one. So I feel like sometimes if I didn't have the mask on, it'd be really hard to hide my facial expressions, because people just still don't understand or appreciate the culture. And people really don't, they still don't put in the effort to want to understand it. And those that do, it can be a little bit frustrating because they're asking, well, how do I get better? And it's like, well, there's resources everywhere for you. And are you actually putting in the effort to look at those resources, or do you want somebody to just tell you how to get better? So
Exactly.
that's the frustrating part still. And I mean, yes, it is a huge step for people to like actually acknowledge that there is an issue and there is like, you know, a gap, but you just saying, how do I get better, it's not good enough anymore. I think maybe in the past that would be good enough, but I think everybody's tired, you know, frustrated, tired. And with the way the internet works now, you can find out yourself.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I have that same feeling because, of course, a lot of what I now know about myself, my culture and history, I had to put in the work to learn these facts about myself. I wasn't taught any of this stuff coming up in America and going through school. My history, Haitian history in the Caribbean, even really true African American history, was not something that was actually taught to me. It's the work I had to put in during college and then subsequently thereafter, researching, finding books, reading its in said material. So I had to put in the work, and there's nothing more frustrating than other groups always then coming to you and asking you to feed them the information. For a problem, a construct, a structural issue that isn't really of our doing at all, but something that we, of course, suffer from. All right. So how can I be the one to teach you about a system that historically, although you weren't directly responsible for, your ancestors laid the foundations of? All right. So everyone has to do the work of learning and also unlearning some of these things that have been just pervasive throughout America. So I absolutely hear you with that.
I think it's the unlearning part that they really don't understand, because racism is passed through generations, I think. And although they might not, you know, your parents or grandparents or whatever might not outwardly say, I am racist towards this person, it's their actions that you witness as a kid, that you develop, you know, as you're growing up. And I think that's the part that a lot of people don't want to admit to. And that's why we're still at the point where we are, because it's like the subconscious and like your bad habits. It's not even that, what do I need to learn about blackness and Black culture? It's, what do I need to unlearn? What stereotypes do I have? What prejudices do I have towards Black people that I didn't realize I have? Do I realize it now, and can I change it? And I think that's where we're stuck.
Right. Yeah. Because until that happens, it doesn't matter what you, or anybody else says to said person. You're not going to be receptive to anything until you let
Anyone
go,
you know.
right,
Yes.
of all that conditioning. So again, you can't just look at me to make you less intolerant, less racist, etc., or less prejudiced. The work has to come from the other person as well. Absolutely agree. You went to an HBCU undergrad, or was it grad school?
Grad school. I
Grad
went
school.
to USF undergrad, and I would say it's multicultural, but in a different way. They have a lot of, like, international students,
Mm-hmm.
but I honestly, like you said, I honestly did not appreciate my culture until I got to FAMU. When I was at USF, I wasn't in like Black Student Union. I was also a commuter because I'm from here. So I really
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like in touch with the school. I would just go in the morning and then I'd come back home and work for the rest of the day. But
Yeah.
I didn't know there was like a Black Student Union. I didn't know how many Black people attended USF. I didn't know like about fraternities and sororities and all of that. And then I got to FAMU, and I think the first week there was like the welcome week, and I was like, whoa. And I text my mom, I was like, why didn't you tell me about HBCUs before now? But I mean, most of my parents, they didn't really attend college, so they
Mm-hmm.
didn't know. And then I got frustrated once I got there because I could have learned about all this in high school when they had those college fairs. I didn't see any HBCUs. I think it's changing now, but I got mad because I'm like, why didn't I know about this sooner? And I mean, that's where I really I think formed my own identity. I mean, there were times in school where I even felt uncomfortable because I'm light skinned, I have braids, I have curly hair, I have straight hair. Like I like to switch it up a little bit. So I had to really develop what my own identity is and how my upbringing really formed or shaped my own Blackness.
Yes.
And that was a struggle for me at times too.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that. I didn't go to an HBCU at all. I went to FIU, Florida International undergrad, which is very multicultural in that sense, but of course it's not an HBCU by any means. I will say though, my time there, being around so many people that were here just for college, oftentimes on education visas or whatnot from the Caribbean, there was a part of me that kind of started to get in touch again with like my Caribbean side. Having been born there in Haiti, when I came to America to assimilate into this new culture and learn a new language, so on and so forth, I unfortunately in the process lost so much of like my own ethnicity. But then in college, it was like I was around people and I was hearing the language and other cultures throughout the Caribbean. I was like, this is I feel like I'm at home again, that thing. And then from there, it was just like, how much let's go back, if anything, let's go back to a beginner's mind in that sense and start
Yes.
to return to who I was and who I am.
Yes.
That's a Haitian dreamer who came to this country and now am where I am. So I feel that 100%. I will say when I have kids in the future, HBCUs will definitely be an option. It wasn't
Same.
for us.
Same. Not
It
gonna
wasn't
force
talked
it,
up.
but
But
right. Not gonna force it, but I'm going to let you know that they are
yes,
out there. And we
yes, I
will go
agree.
to a homecoming.
You have to. A cousin of mine went to FAMU. I don't think you've ever met him, but he went to FAMU as well. And one of the biggest regrets for me, looking back now, I was like, all 4 years I was at FIU. He was a few hours north in Tallahassee, and I never went to homecoming. I never went to visit him on campus, and I was like, missed opportunity.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll make up for it in the future.
Yes.
All right. So I guess the follow-up question to that then would be, I think for you, this might be on the student realm. How do you support other Black people within physical therapy or even in flag football? Are you at that stage yet where you can support? And of course, support doesn't always mean financial, It could just be, you act as a mentor for somebody. You think you're at that stage in your career where you are that person?
think I so one of my biggest goals is to be a CI
Mhm.
for HBCU students or even minority students in like big programs. I don't think I'm there yet, but that's definitely one of my like professional goals. And I want to develop, my expertise in pediatrics a little bit more so that I can actually go to these programs and provide like a crash course on pediatrics before they take the boards. That's like my 5-year plan is to get my experience and start to reach out to FAMU first, of course, and then a lot of these other schools through the students first. I mean,
Mhm.
social media is probably like the best platform
Yeah.
for millennials and whatever the generations are before and after that. Gen X, or there's too many.
I always get them
Um,
mixed up. The X and
yeah,
Z.
so I'm in the process of doing that. Like I started my little like doctor page, and I actually have a lot of like minority students follow me on there. I don't post as much as I want to, but I'm working on it. So that's like my goal this year is to really like reach out to students or engage other students, and give them just like an outlet at least if they're frustrated or if they have questions about literally anything regarding physical therapy, school, and the profession, then I want to be somebody that they can reach out to. Um, I still am the NABPT Florida chapter president, but it's just a lot to juggle at once, to be honest. So I'm working on getting that back up and running so that I can also use that as a platform to reach out to students.
Mhm.
It was getting really popular before COVID, and then COVID hit, and it's really just hard to have events now, especially with everybody spread out. I mean, the state's kind of big, so
Yeah.
I think right now I'm focusing on social media, following, pages, black-owned businesses, black-owned practitioners, or and really just liking and sharing and posting, reposting what they have to offer. I think word of mouth is really important still,
Yeah. Yeah.
and even when I look for doctors or, I'm also always searching for black doctors, because that's what I want to do. So
Yep. Yeah. The experience is completely different when you find somebody
absolutely.
else that looks like you. And I can appreciate what you're saying about, reaching out and highlighting to like the younger generation, Black professionals around, especially through social media. That's nowadays the best way to really connect with anybody. And I know of your role with the NABPT, National Association of Black Physical Therapists. And of course, we all know how much more things are added onto everybody's plate in the midst of a ongoing pandemic. So I completely understand what you're saying. Whereas you would love to be a bit more out there and posting a lot more, so on and so forth. But sometimes life pulls you in different directions, and
Be life in. That's right.
life be life in. And as Black people, we have a lot of stuff on our shoulders anyway. So sometimes we need time for ourselves. In order
Yes.
to be what we need to be for everybody else, seemingly, we also need to put into us. So I understand. um, I will be remiss then if I don't specifically ask on the football side of things, how did that come about? You being on the U.S. national team.
Well, when I started playing in high school, it was 2009. I was a freshman. At that time, it was only a high school sport in Florida that we know of, and even all the schools in Florida didn't have it. But I think I was a junior when they wrote an article saying that it could be a collegiate sport one day. And I'm thinking, within the next 2 years, because that's when I was graduating, so I could play. But it didn't take until 2021 for it to become an NAIA collegiate sport. But they still had club sport in college, so you could still play and travel and play other teams, but you pretty much didn't get a scholarship and you had to raise your own money to travel. So I went to USF after that, and I they already had a team, but I helped reshape it and bring in some other athletes and pull in some girls that never played flag football but played other sports. And I played there, and then I went to FAMU and I played there for a year. And then once I got to grad school, I found out that flag football is a whole different world. There's a lot of women and men, grown women and men, that work through the week and then take off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, once a month or once every other month, and just go play. And I think it's an outlet for a lot of people, but because so many people have, you know, played flag football for so many years, it's grown and grown and grown to the point where it's now a collegiate sport and now being considered as an Olympic sport for 2028. So I kind of just threw myself out there. I know. Finally, I don't know. I just kept playing. I kept reaching out to people. I kept playing with different people. I, set aside a little bit of money to travel and play different competition and play with different teams to see how their style is. And I really just think it helped shape me into a pretty well-rounded player. And then ever since then, to be selected for the U.S. national team, you just have to play and let your actions speak for you, and they will find you because they are always watching. That organization, I believe, is fairly new. They've had a national team for a few years now, but not really on this level. And now they have a lot of other countries that are also starting to build the sport. And I think the beauty of this sport is that you don't have to be good at flag football. You have to be good at soccer and basketball and lacrosse and softball. And then all of that translates to flag football. You just need IQ, you need hand-eye coordination, you need good feet. And a lot of it is similar to what you learn in other sports. And I think that's why so many people like to play it, because you really just need natural ability and a little bit of repetition. So it's very easy for adults to work during the week, maybe work out here and there, but you don't have to play every single day to go on the field and be one of the best players. Now, of course, it helps, and it does help with injury prevention, but I think the most important key is that you can return to your normal life, which is what all of us do on the national team is, we set aside a few days every month or every other month to play and give it our all. And then we all go back to working. We have teachers, we have other healthcare professionals, we have like motivational speakers, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear all that and see how the sport is growing and what it's basically confirmed that it's going to be in the Olympics in 2024 or 2028.
2028. It's I'd say about 85% confirmed. They haven't really said it outright, but it's been in our ear for the last few months now. So, and they just put out an article on it not too long ago.
Very nice. When it happens, the rest of that percentage, when she gets to 100, I'll be looking forward to seeing you on the world stage when that time comes.
It's crazy, but
Yeah,
you never thought I'd get to this point, honestly. So
who knows where the road that life will take you? You just gotta be ready for when opportunities present.
Yes,
that's the thing. Well, all right. So our next question, we're almost towards the end here. If you could meet one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Michelle Obama. Absolutely. I love her. She's just super. She's classy. She's intelligent, great role model, always gives back to her community. She just seems like she would offer me a lot of great advice. And I love her, absolutely.
I mean, I love that pick. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of the Obamas, especially Michelle. Did you see that they're doing a show? The First Lady, Showtime, I think, is making a sequel.
No.
And guess who's playing Michelle?
Who?
Viola Davis.
Yes. Okay, she might be number two in who I would meet because she's always been a great actress, but How to Get Away with Murder, have you
Oh my
ever?
goodness.
Oh my goodness, she would
Yeah.
have me crying. She can't play with my emotions like that. Anyways,
Exactly. That would be
oh, that's
my lawyer.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That'd be
So
your
your
lawyer.
number one and number two basically going to be like your number two is playing your number one. They have a trailer now. I think just recently they dropped a trailer. It looks very good. Yeah. Might have to check that out.
Yes.
All right. So at this stage, then in your career, what keeps you inspired and everything like fresh?
Honestly, I'd probably say my family first because I am young and I have some anxiety and I'm stressed, but I manage my stress a lot better than I used to. So I kind of go back to my family whenever I'm feeling like stuck or I have ideas, but I'm scared to move forward with them. So they really are like my support system, and kind of tell me if I'm being a little bit too crazy, or maybe that is a good idea, but you need time, or let's see what we can do to, help those ideas grow. So, and I've always been like a huge family person. And that's just how my family's been since we were little. We always have big parties. We always do things together. So that's definitely one of my values. I mean, I think the other thing is there's so much knowledge in this world to be learned
Yeah.
and known, and not even just in like the physical therapy profession, but I mean, you can learn something from literally everybody. And that's something I've always told myself since I was little. I think I consider myself to be a pretty humble person. So when I say like I do take value in every lesson, whether it's good or bad, like I think that's what keeps me going. I self-reflect a lot. Um, and I think just playing sports when I was little helped me like learn not to ever settle, always keep moving, always keep working. And that can be, good and bad because then it's hard to like appreciate the little things in life sometimes, when you're so focused on like your big goals, or like you're focused on like what can I do better. And so that's currently where I am. I think last year, and the year before that with COVID, I kind of hit like a wall, as in like what am I doing with my life. And I felt like I really wasn't contributing to society and my profession like I wanted to. So I took last summer to really sit down and think about what I can personally do, and like at what rate can I do it, because I think a lot of us tend to overwork ourselves. So I would say my family is most important, and then having so many different ways to pursue knowledge, and then self-reflection probably is most important for me.
Yeah.
And knowing when to sit down or when I can push myself a little bit more. So
Yeah. I mean, well said. Me being just a little bit older than you are, I will say as you age, what you start to realize is it ultimately all comes back to family. Those who have always been there ultimately are the people there throughout as well. I think a lot of my closest connections, people I can say are like best friends, so on and so forth, are actually family members who have like grown up with me over time. So I feel that 100%. And yeah, so living in a capitalist society, living in America, work has been the tradition and the norm. And I think it's part of our generation definitely pushed back against that, that live to work mentality is definitely not what it is for us. I feel like a lot of what we do for work has to give us a sense of fulfillment as well. And in that sense, we aren't the type to stay in something for 20, 30 years and then find ourselves in retirement age, and you look back in your life and you're like, what did I do with that time?
Right.
So I hear you.
That is such a good point. Yes, I think that's a curse that we need to break,
Yes.
because I mean, at this point, not to be negative, but something could happen today or tomorrow. You never know. And if get to heaven one day and you really sit and think, like, what did I actually do? Did I actually, chase my dreams or pursue all the goals I wanted? And
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person that kind of just blinked and, put my head down and worked every day, because that's not me. And I will say something because that's not how I was taught. My mom and dad always told me to love what you do. And if you don't, find something else and get good at it.
Yeah. Change course. You have one life to live. There's no rule that says you have to be one thing for that time.
Yes. Right. Especially now with our generation, we are not one track minded people. Like,
no, not at all.
A lot of people have multiple, streams of income and multiple, strong characteristics and, what's the word I'm looking for? Like traits, that we use to our advantage. So,
yeah, I think it was Jamel Hill that once said, you have to have at least 5. In her estimation, it was like at least 5 streams of income. So I'm actively working towards that number. I think I'm working on 3 right now, but we'll see. We're gonna get them all to be like very fruitful.
Yes.
It's been great so far, Deliah. So I guess the last question I'm gonna pose to you is, that term Blackness. If you can give us a summary of what does that mean for you?
Ooh, I feel like it's an all-encompassing word. It's I don't think it can be put into a box, honestly. It's so many different things. It's culture, it's resilience, it's determination, it's family, it's history, it's adaptability. I mean, it's literal. I mean, it's identity, it's confidence. And I think that people are starting to realize the value of it now. I think for so long, not everybody, but a lot of people were ashamed of their Blackness because that's what society made them feel like they should be.
Yeah.
But I think now you hear Blackness and it just sounds like a strong, not intimidating, but very like, I'm here kind of word, you know what I mean? And I think we are all starting to cling on to that and use that to set ourselves apart from others. I'm still on my journey to, understanding and appreciating it. But I think with that word, it's like, it's only up from here, I just feel like it's inspirational to want to learn more about Blackness and, our culture. And I think it's also a lifelong process at the same time.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of reflection. It's going to take a lot of, I don't know, tough skin, because unfortunately, I think that somebody will always be threatened or, not like our Blackness. So it's going to be a, battle. But I think we always come out on top no matter what,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in hearing you talk, it just seems so fathomless. Like what we are is like, there's no boundaries to it at all.
Like, the sky's the limit. So.
Exactly. And I guess what time has kind of shown us is also that resilience of Blackness as well. Like against all odds, we're here and we will continue to be. So wonderfully said. Thank you so much, Deliah. It's been an amazing conversation this morning and great catching up, because again, we haven't really interacted in forever. But I see you from afar. I see all the things that you're doing, and I'm always like, look at Deliah, changing the world.
Oh, hopefully I get to see y'all soon.
Yes, I agree. Whenever you're back in South Florida, or if we're like ever in the Central Florida region, we'll definitely have to like link up.
Okay.
I guess one other thing. What anime are you watching these days?
Oh, I only watch Naruto. Naruto
You only watch
Shippuden.
Naruto.
Yeah, my brothers love Demon Slayer. Is it One Piece?
One
I think
Piece?
One Piece.
Yeah, not a fan.
I think those are the main two they like. I'm still trying to finish Naruto Shippuden. We watched Naruto when we were little. I'm a book person, so I would always read the books. They're like backwards, the
Yeah.
anime books. So I always read all the books, but like as far as sitting down and having to read the subtitles the whole time, I'm still working on it. I like to put Netflix on or Hulu and then do
Yeah.
stuff, put it in the background. But with like anime, you have to like sit and literally read the subtitles if it's not in dub or whatever the
Right.
English.
And the English dub is never
It's
any
weird.
good. Yeah.
Very robotic. I
Yeah.
don't like it. So yeah, I'm still on Naruto and it makes me cry and I learned so much from it. And
That's a great one. That's a great one. Like you,
yes.
I'm probably years behind. I don't know when the last time I watched an episode of Naruto. And I'm on the original series as well.
Yes. Get to Shippuden. You'll really like it.
Okay. We'll do. We'll do. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Great catching up.
Yes.
I'll see you later, Deliah.
Have a good day.